Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me as always, as my chair squeaks, is Tara.
Greetings, citizens. Squeaky, squeaky.
This is a science fiction movie podcast. Squeaky, squeaky. We've watched the movie, we get together, we talk about it. It's quite that simple. We're in 70s season, and in this particular episode, it is the vote winner of 70s season. Our patrons had a choice of 4 70s movies, and they actually didn't vote for the more conventional picks. They went for one of the lesser known entries, and that was Damnation Alley, which is what we're going to talk about today. So as always, we will start spoiler free. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers if you do want to avoid that and maybe go check it out for yourself. The movie is on YouTube if you really want to go and watch it, because he's go and have a look.
with the young Joe Bob Briggs doing the intro on it.
Admittedly, I don't know if it'll be there for long. I don't know if it's like officially on YouTube or if it's more of a someone is being cheeky and it's just sort of survived.
Oh, I saw there. It's been there like 7 years according to the video.
Well, in that case, I mean, they're clearly not that concerned about it then, are they? So, yeah, Damnation Alley is a post-apocalyptic science fiction film. It's about a road trip, effectively, from... was it like San Francisco they started in?
Somewhere in Southern California.
Yeah, California. And they're going to Albany, New York, and the trip there, which they have to dodge certain radioactive like parts of the country because of all the nuclear bombs that went off. They refer to that as Damnation Alley, hence the title of the movie. So that is the basic gist. It's a road trip in a kind of futuristic tank-looking buggy vehicle thingamajig, and that's basically it. But the movie does notably start with actually getting to see the day that all this happened. We get kind of... Because our survivors that are the main characters are actually people who were all employed and serving at the missile base that tried to counterattack. So that's who we're following. We're following the people who failed to save the country and possibly the entire planet. Which actually is a good point. They never actually really mention about anywhere else. So I mean, it may just be the US. This. Oh no, they did say something about the Earth as a whole at one point. So I guess maybe the whole world is screwed. But maybe the rest of the world's not as bad as this though. Maybe it's just the US. It's a wasteland.
Well, we kind of assume that they come from Russia, the bombs, right?
Yeah, the missiles.
The missiles.
I think you just assume that because it's the 70s and they're still in the Cold War.
It's the 70s, and you see them coming from the north of the map, unless Canada's bombing the US for some reason.
No, I think the idea is that they've shot them over like past the North Pole, and
right,
they're coming in hot. So that's the gist of the movie. We'll get into all the nitty gritty and stuff. But Tara, what did you think of Damnation Alley?
I like this movie. I like it. I think it's pretty good. This movie's got a lot of things going for it that I like. First of all, it's weird 70s science fiction filled with all sorts of doing the best they can special effects. It's also a 70s trucker film, which I kind of enjoy. I've seen a few of those. I watched one recently called Trucker's Woman. It was with a riff tracks, admittedly, but there's another one I like called Riding with Death, which was a Mystery Science Theater episode. It's just trucker movies were just in fashion for a little bit in the 70s, and there's a lot of that in this. This also has a scene where 2 people have to turn a key at the same time, and I always love that in a movie. It always just builds how important this moment is, because you need to have 2 people, and you have to do a countdown, and you have to turn a key at the same time. I always love that in a movie. So yeah. You're
easily pleased, dare I say. You're easily pleased if that's... Honestly, the first thing I think of when I think of 2 people trying to turn keys in a movie is
Crimson Tide.
Superman 3, where Richard Pryor has to get the gut, because he's not supposed to be doing this. He's doing this on the down low, because he's hacking into something. It's actually the thing that he's doing the thing that becomes the plot of the movie Office Space, because in the movie Office Space they reference Superman 3 when they came up with the idea. Is that basically all the money in the world, like there's a lot of like remainders on a lot of accounts, and it just kind of goes away. And the idea is if you take all the remainders, you're not really stealing from anyone, but it actually amounts to like millions and millions and millions of dollars. Nonsense. obviously. But he has to turn 2 keys, and he gets the guard drunk, and he has to try and get the guard to turn his key whilst he's passed out. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think he has like a string or something on his hand, and he has to try and time it. And
Oh, that Richard Pryor.
yeah, Superman 3 is not a great movie, but I have a lot of childhood nostalgia for it, and Richard Pryor's pretty good. But
Is 3 the one where people become robots?
one person becomes a robot.
Yeah. That was traumatizing as a kid.
Yeah, she was pretty scary. She was a scary little robot lady.
Just watching her transform, like all the tubes and stuff coming in, like, and the electricity going through her body. It was scary.
But yes, I did have a decent time with this. It is a schlocky B movie, probably more schlocky and more B movie than most of the 70s movies we've done. Dare I say that if I'd known more about it, this might have been more of a bonus episode on Patreon rather than like a regular episode.
I think it's worthy of 70s month from the other stuff we've watched.
Because I would say the biggest problem that I have with it is that it doesn't really have any momentum. It's not got a good script in the sense that it doesn't build to anything. It's just like almost like a series of segments where they encounter different obstacles and things, which is fine, but like it just kind of does that and then it ends. There's no real build or
there's no plot.
There's no crescendo. There's no whatever. It does star a very, very young Jackie Earle Haley in it.
Like a child Jackie Earle Haley.
That's what very young means, I agree.
Yes.
Not the only notable cast member, though. The detective from Terminator is in this movie.
Yes. I always think of him as the guy who also got the earworm in Wrath of Khan.
I figured you'd go that way. Let's not pretend I didn't. But yeah, there's also a guy right at the start that I recognise who's not in it for long. Murray Hamilton. I'm just going to click on him now to see what he's actually been in. Oh, he's in Jaws. He's the mayor in Jaws. That's what I know him from.
Yes, I saw him too. He's barely in it. Does he even have lines?
I think he has like one line at the start.
I see his face and then explosion.
I was like, I don't know what he's in, but I know him from something. And then as soon as it says Jaws, oh yeah, Jaws. Oh yeah, he's the mayor in Jaws.
He was also in the second episode of Twilight Zone where he plays Death.
Ah, yeah. A bit younger than that.
Opposite Edwin.
Very nice, very nice. So there's like a few faces in this to recognise.
Plus Hannibal from A-Team is in it. George Papard.
I've only seen like one episode of A-Team, so I never recognised them. But it's a good thing to point out. It's a fair bit of trivia. Yeah, and for the most part, these are all people who are, with the exception of Jaws mayor, because this is around that time. The rest of them are all younger than what I know them as. So the detective from Terminator, for example, he is much skinnier in this than he is in Terminator. He's in Terminator. He's let himself go a bit. He's got a belly. He's eating those donuts. Maybe that was just method acting. Maybe he just ate a lot of donuts because I'm playing a cop. I'm going to eat donuts.
Right.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
I had my donut joke to make. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Thank you. I agree. So I would describe, if you like movies like this, I would say it's a decent enough watch, but it's not like a must see by any means.
Was this the same year as Jaws?
77. No, this is 2 years later.
Oh, okay. Man, he stepped down.
Yeah, he went from Jaws to this.
He had a significant role in Jaws.
Yeah.
To maybe possibly one line in this movie.
I like the idea though that they took him from Jaws to a movie that has no water in it because he was such a shitty mayor when it came to governing an island surrounded by water. No, you get desert this time. You're just in the desert.
I guess this is the same year as Close Encounters, so it could be the same year as Jaws. I don't know what I was thinking. Close Encounters and Star Wars.
Yes, I mean,
and maybe Logan's Run.
I don't think people would have been mad at you if you just hadn't remembered that, specifically that 77 was the year that Close Encounters came out.
It's a big year for sci-fi.
Yeah. So, dare I say though that Damnation Alley is not the top of that pile?
You dare.
For 1977, I just got out on a limb. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, in terms of spoiler free stuff, you mentioned the special effects. There's a couple of over the top things. Obviously, they do have a big vehicle that's driving around it, but there is also miniatures that are quite obvious when they pop up. They tend to have like a filter over the sky when they're outside, which is a lot of the movie, admittedly, and it'll be like a variety of like sort of greens. It kind of looks like, you know how in the Superman opening titles where they've got a lot of funky effects in space to like give it like this sort of almost like he's going through like a nebula or something like that. So you get almost what I think is like some sort of like green liquid that's been like poured into like a something or other, and like shooting it from a certain angle gives it this kind of look. It's sort of like that, but superimposed at times over the sky. But I did notice in one scene where your A-Team guy, he actually walks out of the vehicle and his head like overlaps with where the sky starts, and they've not cut like the filter for his head, so the top of his head actually goes behind the filter.
That's hilarious.
So there's definitely some, and like, I mean, I don't know how hard that is to fix in 1977, probably quite. But it's the sort of thing where I recognise it straight away, because if you do any kind of photoshopping, it's exactly the sort of thing you see a lot, because that's what you fix, that's what you're looking for, that's what you're tinkering with to get it look right. So.
I thought the sky effects were very inconsistent in a lot of places. It seemed like they were two different colors in the same shot, like depending on what person they were looking at or what direction the clouds were moving were inconsistent. It just kind of added to the charm for a lot of it, though. I'm glad they didn't leave it blank.
Yeah,
like, they put in the effort to try to make, a poison sky from nuclear waste.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the questions that comes up is, well, if the sky looks like that, is any of this safe to travel through? Are you okay being outside? Like,
I've never seen a red and purple sky before.
Like, I mean, they do address it in the sense that they say, no, there's parts of the country that we can't go through because the radiation's too bad. We have to like sort of like dance around it, and that's what that's what Damnation Alley is. It's like you're kind of like going the safe route. Although there's still some obstacles on the way. We'll get into those in spoilers. Don't you worry. But yeah, so yeah. Effects are fine. They're very 70s. They're quirky at times. They're endearing at times. They're never convincing, though. I suppose that's the one thing you would say, is they're never convincing.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yes. So, I
mean, I think the opening shot, they just drive into a matte painting. It's just so obviously a matte painting.
That sounds
of
right.
This base.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that this movie opens with just like the base, and I think the weirdest thing about the opening for me is that no one, like, everyone's just sort of there like it's another day at work, and it's not like, oh, tensions are high, they're expecting, like, we could go into World War III at any moment. Like, they're just sort of having small talk, they're just like joking around. And that would be fine, because that could be like contrast, right? Where all of a sudden it's happening, so they all like go scared because, oh shit, now it's real, now we might have to launch some nukes, blah blah blah.
Nope, just another day of the job.
But it doesn't. But that's the thing. It doesn't even feel like it changes either. It feels like these two guys, because two of our main characters are the ones who were turning the keys to launch, like, the counter nukes, and like they don't even like they go a bit more serious, but it doesn't feel like.
No.
The world's ending outside. It doesn't. It never gives you that feeling.
It feels very much like they adjust to this world pretty quickly. And anytime anything big happens in this film or somebody dies, everybody just bounces back really fast. Oh yeah, they brush it off like things are nothing. Yeah.
To the point where I'm not even sure they addressed that a character died at one point when like. It's supposed to be someone else's close friend, and they weren't there for the death, so they never have a scene where they find out and like react to it, or it just, the movie goes on like nothing happened. It does that a few times, and for different things. So, and these are very valid complaints, and it's why that it does feel like kind of schlocky, and why it is just a B movie that kind of glosses over a lot of weird things.
A lot of good stunt work, though. I think Jan Michael Vincent did all the stunts on the motorcycle, and there's a lot of good stuff. There's some dangerous moments too, where he has to like slide off right before he gets to the edge of a cliff, or like does some jumping over things. but it's kind of fun. Like, it's some good stunt work with the motorcycle.
Yeah. There's just wait until you hear what he's running from on the motorbike. What the chase scene is what's chasing them, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's the best part of the film. The best part of the film. That's a bold claim. We'll talk about that. Yeah. There's definitely like a lot of things to gloss over. There's like weird technology that just kind of there. Like somehow, like A-Team dude, he is like somehow programmed a system on this vehicle that will give you a red light if you've went off course, and then will give you a green light when you're pointing back in the right direction. And I'm like, how exactly? Like,
military technology. We don't know what it is.
I mean,
it's top secret. I don't know how they hid these vehicles from the other employees there after the world ended.
Well, there's a big secret building. Well, not a secret building, but there's a big building. They come out of a door. So, it's not like...
Yeah. I know, but like if you already are the person in charge of setting off the nukes, like you don't have clearance to know that there's this giant vehicle there in case the end of the world happens.
I didn't get the impression that it was already there. I got the impression that the A-Team dude built this in the 2 years since the nukes went off.
But I thought they were
don't get me wrong,
because they had two of them.
Well, no, don't get me wrong, right? It is kind of stupid because, like, there's one scene where he's in like a workshop early on in the film talking to the other mustache guy, and they're talking about like finding parts or fitting or finishing something off. I actually think it's ridiculous how little build-up or teases there is that there's some kind of vehicle at all. Because the scene where they're unveiled, the scene where the door opens and they come out and A-Team dude's like, right, this is how we're going to get across country. We have to travel in these things. Like, it comes out of nowhere, and it just kind of goes back in again to the idea that all the plot beats in this film are treated like they don't matter much. Like, they just kind of happen. They're just there.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And the introduction of these vehicles is very much that. Like, I was expecting a vehicle because it's on the poster, but other than that, like, when this door opened and these vehicles popped, I'm like, how has there been no build to this? How have you barely mentioned this or, like, said, oh, I'm working on something, like, some sort of plan for the future or something? It just kind of happens, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing that now.
Yeah, that feels right for this film. It's pretty consistent with other things that happen in the film. It is kind of like, it is still very much, it reminds me of like A Boy and His Dog. What?
It was just a sentence you just had, which was, sounds right for this film, is very consistent with other things in this film.
I was a bit distracted because my cat was destroying something while I was trying to form a sentence.
I can sympathize. I know that pain.
He seems to be done now. That's good. Okay, back to work.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, this film seems like a lot of it's sort of half-baked. But I do appreciate the schlock in the film and that they're trying to take it seriously. And I very much enjoy everything surrounding bugs in this film.
There's taking it seriously, then there's barely reacting to anything, which is what actually happens in the movie. Like, a lot of the things that happen in this, people should be like overreacting to.
Yes.
Well, not even overreacting, like reacting appropriately, but compared to other things,
there should be a lot more emotion.
Yeah, compared to other things that you might witness in your life, there should be, I don't know, more freaking out in the context of this movie. There really should be.
They're still concerned with making everybody like Jan Michael Vincent and George Papard just look like a badass in every situation with zero reaction, always a hero,
and then
that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but they don't even have like a character arc. That like they set up a thing where A-Team dude is like thinks young hotshot is like untrustworthy and doesn't like him very much, but there's never really like a payoff to this where he earns his respect ever in the movie. It never happens.
No, it's just, I don't think you're right for this job, and I've requested transfer, and it, time goes by, and they're fine with each other.
Not yet, they're not.
I mean, they seem to be. I mean, they have to be in a vehicle together for a while.
Yeah, and he constantly gives him shit, and then says things later on like, "Is she going to be safe with him?" implying he might be a rapist. Like
really?
That's like halfway through the movie. And then his friend sticks up for him and goes, "What? Of course she's going to be okay with him. What's your problem with him?" He's like, "I just think he's untrustworthy." Like that's like halfway through the movie. What are you talking about?
I guess I missed that. I did watch it a couple days ago.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I guess they kind of introduce a love interest, but then she never really becomes a love interest.
No, I would say everyone's like, "Ooh, female! Finally, we haven't seen one in a couple of years." But then she's not like if she's interested, there's no romance in the film. I mean, either one of them really could have like equal romance opportunity with her. Like she seems to be cool with either of them, but like nobody does anything.
Yeah, but why not? Why is there nothing? Like, do something.
They're respectful.
But you're not telling a story. I'm not saying you actually have to do a traditional romance plot or something. I'm not saying I want something generic. But do something.
No, she's just there for the ride and to save a couple of times. That's about it.
I just like all the characters in this are basically nothing. Like they have nothing going on for them. They have no character arcs. They don't progress. They don't form bonds, or they don't connect or get closer to each other over the course of the film, which is what you'd expect to happen. If nothing else in a movie like this, you'd expect them to get closer and be like a tight-knit like family by the end or something. Or maybe fall apart and do the opposite, do the tragedy.
They look like a family unit by the end. They're sort of filmed that way, but they don't act like it.
Yeah, it's not there. It's just not. So, I'm like, yeah, so... Yeah, my complaint stands. I don't know. I just like, but she feels like she's supposed to be a love interest when they introduce her. That's how it feels when they're setting her up. It feels like they're going down that path. But I mean, that's probably as much as I can really discuss before we just start talking about the segments and what the characters actually go through, because that's really all this movie has. It's got a series of scenarios where things happen, and we will discuss the effects, the reactions to these various things, and how they may or may not be stupid as we go through the movie. Which is not to say it's what?
Not stupid.
Mostly stupid. Which is not to say that it's not like easy enough to watch, because it is, but
it's pretty short too.
Oh yeah, it's like 90 minutes. It's not very long at all. And it has no interest in having a challenging ending either. Like it just kind of suddenly ends and just gives it like a... Like I actually couldn't believe it when the credits started rolling, because it sort of freeze frames and starts just rolling credits, and it's like, oh wait, oh okay, it's done. Fair enough. So yeah, spoilers from this point on for Damnation Alley. You've been warned. Not much to say about the openings so much, other than just to sort of reiterate just how nonchalantly like they're looking at this board, and it's like a map of the US, and there's all these lights coming from the north.
It's the big board. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, launch your counter-offensive, and so they launch some missiles, and then we see some lights going towards the other lights. And then, like, so, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of stock footage of rockets taking off once they launch their own, but not much. It's mostly just looking at this light board and people staring at the light board.
Some of the rockets fail.
But this really does struggle to kind of convey the idea that the world is ending, because it doesn't feel like it in the scene, and it's not because you don't see it, because I don't think that's an important part of it. I think there's plenty of movies that have done like, oh, the world outside is ending, but it's all from the perspective of just one person who hasn't seen any of it, right? I think several stories have done that in the past, and it's been completely fine, and it works because you have the mystery of it, you have the reactions, you have the unseen world happening outside, and you get a feeling from that. I don't think you get that in this, though. It's kind of this weird middle ground where it doesn't work either way. You don't see enough outside to get the sense of the scale of what's happening, but also inside there's too many characters and not enough of them are reacting appropriately that you get the sense of the weight and the drama of like how dangerous and how cataclysmic the event is that's going on outside.
Yeah, I mean, they are military, so you kind of get the idea that this is what they're trained for. They have a job to do. They got the code to come in, so they have to go take out their keys, turn them at the same time with a countdown.
How are you?
Awesome.
How is it you're somehow mentioning them turning keys at the same time again?
That's always a great scene. I don't know, man. Just it's a weakness.
How did this warrant a second go around in the conversation?
It's very important. It seems like it's a very special moment when we get that on film. That's all.
I am going to hypothesize that in this particular movie, it's not actually that important.
Oh, I mean, they're launching nukes, the counter nuke missiles.
Yes, that is technically true. Yes,
so pretty important, I'd say. Yeah.
But does the movie make it feel like it's important?
Yes. Anytime there's two keys turning at the same time, it's always important. That's why you have to have two people and two keys. I don't understand what you're not getting here. If I ever make a movie, I'm going to have like 2 scenes of this. At least twice.
This is one of those episodes, isn't it?
What? I don't know what you're talking about. We don't have like those episodes. I'm not Tim.
That's a random bit of Tim shit.
What? Tim's trying to start a beef with me.
I believe Tara is referring to Tim on Even More Streams episode 1.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's there. But this has been ongoing for a while now.
Oh dear.
I'm not saying gloves are off. We're not there yet. But he keeps talking smack about Star Trek. We'll see.
Oh, I mean, he's not going to hear this. So I don't know if it will progress, but yeah, okay. Watch this space. I'm caught in the middle of this fight that may or may not
it's
be
not
happening.
a fight. There's no beef.
There's no beef.
Despite what he wants.
Mm-hmm. He wants beef and you don't, which kind of sums up your vegan existence in a nutshell.
Checks out.
Yeah. So how are we not onto the post-apocalypse yet? This is
well, because we have to talk about the keys turning at the same time.
We've talked about it. Well, the keys have turned. It's done. The keys have turned.
Great scene. All right. What happens after?
We get a montage of like colored liquids like moving around.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to represent the sky changing, I think, and other stuff. But yes, it skips ahead. It's actually very unspecified, but later in the film they do openly mention that it's been 2 years. So it's been 2 years since. But there is some text that explains that.
We get right after the opening scene, we do get a text crawl, even though we said there wasn't one there.
Well, not at the start, no. But
not at the start, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some text after the time jump that explains just how different the world is. But without really explaining that much, to be honest. It's just kind of fluff for the most part. And you say opening scene, but this is like 12 minutes out of the movie. That opening chunk does actually last quite a bit. It's not like it's just a quick, thing. Like it takes time to introduce like the Terminator cop, in his position, because he's like staff there as well.
He's an artist.
He has a very ominous line about how he's going to take time off soon and he's going to go somewhere. He doesn't know where, but it's going to be very green, and all I'm thinking is, it's going to be a radioactive desert for the rest of the movie, so good luck with that, buddy.
That's right.
So.
And he also says, like, oh, you've got no... Because he's like the guard before people can enter the facility. So he's like, I see you've got no guns, girls, or something else with you. All three things that people want after an apocalyptic event.
Yeah. Actually,
I think food also is the other thing. He said food, guns, and women. He
does give them guns though when they come in to go down to the key room. Which now I'm thinking about it, why did they get guns to go down to the key room?
I don't know. In case they gotta shoot each other.
Are they expecting some like sneaky infiltrators hanging around?
Communism, yes. Secret commies. You're a Russian spy.
Secret commies
in charge of turning the second key.
Lying in wait. Oh my god, you and the second key bullshit.
Anyway.
Before we recorded, right, like after we watched the movie, Tara mentioned to me, oh, this movie has one of my favourite types of scene in it. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She said she'd mentioned it before, and I've forgotten. I'm never going to forget now your weird fascination with scenes with two people turning keys. So we were reintroduced to our characters. There's apparently tons of them still left. We get glimpses of like all the staff who would still be working here, just sort of hanging around. Now I'm jumping ahead slightly. We'll go back and talk about the introduction to our main character again. But basically, someone falls asleep while smoking whilst they're looking at their porn, and it basically just blows up the entire place.
I was confused about this moment.
So I think the implication is that they had like containers of gas, and the fire spread to that, and they had lots of spare missiles. Now I'm not sure if all of them would just like detonate with just fire, but either way, all of the excess people were killed.
A second apocalyptic event happened in this one location.
Pretty much, like, so it leaves us with like 4 characters who were either up working on the vehicles, or like the other 2 who were just, I think they live in a separate little building because they were like friends, and he was like the guard, so they just kind of stay up there. So that's kind of what motivates. Well, we can't stay. All the supplies that were here are pretty much gone now. We have to travel somewhere, and that sets up the movie. But before we
luckily, not everything exploded.
Well, I think
the vehicles, yeah.
Well, that's a separate building. I think that was like a because the building, the place that goes on fire is like the underground place, right? That's like a separate thing.
I guess it's separate from the garage.
Yeah. And the little building that our main 2 guys are in, that's like separate as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah, the dome.
Yeah.
The little observatory they have.
So before we move on though, when we first cut back to these characters, so our main dude, our hotshot, he is riding a motorbike through the desert, and his friend, Terminator Cop, is like watching from a telescope, like up in the roof of the building, and he's like, oh, he's got someone with him. Is that a woman? And I actually thought to myself, she looked kind of stiff in a couple of the shots, but it doesn't actually reveal until the very end that it was a mannequin, right? And that's all it was.
Because he dumps her.
Well, yeah, but you don't know that when he dumps her, though. Like,
yeah. I know, but so I was like, what the hell? When he actually dumps her in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like our hero, if you will, in the movie. And he because he sort of turns around and says something to the effect of, so this is where you get off, darling, and pushes her. And you're like, wait, this is really dark. And he's like, because there's giant scorpions like that have mutated coming for them, which no one talks about. No one reacts to the fact that there's like giant, huge, like car-sized scorpions.
Yeah.
But it's not until he gets back to the base and like Terminator Cop's like, hey, what the hell did you do to her? And then that's when it cuts back finally as he kind of reveals, oh, it's just a mannequin. Which I guess like it kind of does the I Am Legend thing briefly, where he talks about how, you know, for a second there I talked to her and I even kissed her on the way back, and it's like, okay, I guess
am I crazy?
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're not crazy, just a little selfish."
Yeah. I mean, it's basically just something that like other post-apocalyptic stories have done and have done since, but it just kind of glosses over it right at the start.
But also giant freaking scorpions.
They don't want to talk about those. They're going to mention those because that's not notable. Or like, why aren't they coming near the building? Why are they not concerned that the scorpions aren't going to come knocking one day?
Oh no, man.
They don't seem very concerned about that.
Maybe their base is scorpion proof. They had 2 years.
Is it just because they've got lots of weapons, but presumably? Is that it?
They just had a ton of raid cans in their base that they just sprayed outside.
So, yeah, that's basically that. So they take 2 vehicles. There's 2 of them, not for long, but there's 2 of them, and they go in 2 pairs.
Well, they show 2, but never at the same time. They clearly only had 1 vehicle built for the film.
Oh, sure, yeah. But they have 2. So A-Team Dude and Hotshot are in one. Terminator Cop and Mustache Red Shirt are in the second one.
They have character names. I don't remember them either.
Well, obviously they have character names. Why are you telling me? I don't think I have character names. I just clearly don't know them. Why would you assume I don't know that?
Well, I'm just saying, like, we've assigned them new names.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, if someone didn't get that we just renamed them ourselves, then I'm sorry, but they're the idiots.
Sure.
So yeah, the first thing they encounter is a storm. There's like tornadoes, some shit. The second vehicle gets flipped and it kills Mustache Red Shirt. It injures Terminator Cop a little bit in the leg, but he basically heals like by the next scene, so it's fine.
And nobody misses the Mustache Man.
No one. Well, to be fair, they do fight over him a little bit because Hotshot says, "Hey, do you want to admit you were wrong now, and this is too dangerous to like make this trip?" And he gets angry at him, which means that this is actually the most they react to any like death in the movie, because they actually have a fight over it in some form. Whereas later on, when Terminator Cop dies and it's supposed to be the best friend of Hotshot, he never even reacts to it, or
well, he's got a lady now.
But he never even like
he's been replaced.
He never even like finds out, and therefore like he's just not there, and he never questions why is my friend not here? What happened to him?
I did think about that. Yeah,
like that's a bit weird. But that's skipping ahead. It's true. Before this scene and like after this bit is when we get a lot of exposition. There's like radio signals coming from Albany like on a loop like once a week. So it's the only place where there might be some civilization. So that's where we're going. Okay, sure. That's basically it, really. I mean, well, there was some stuff later on when he was talking to the kid. This is much later on, but he's talking about how they think the Earth is off its axis, and they don't know if it'll ever fix itself. And it actually does, seemingly, by the end of the movie. There's like a moment towards the end of the movie where I think that's what's supposed to be happening, is that the Earth is correcting itself. But
yeah, either correcting itself or there's been more bombs that we didn't see.
Yeah, but there's nothing to suggest there's been more bombs, so I have to assume it's just the Earth corrected itself. Yeah. So, and then they arrive in Vegas, which, for some reason, the casino, for some reason they want to stop at all, because it's Vegas, let's go out and have a look. And even A-Team Dude, who's like the hard ass, who's like doing things by the book, he's like, yeah, all right. And then when they go into the casino, somehow they even comment on it as well, like, oh, even
Lights are always on.
even the post-apocalypse, you can't turn off the electricity in Las Vegas. I'm like, and where's this coming from? Like,
Yep. Every what's it called?
slot machine.
Slot machine has its own generator built in.
Apparently, which even just the idea that they want to stop and play slot machines is like absurdly.
And there's a strange moment where they're all three of them are playing at the same time, and they're like really into it, and you hear like a crowd of people that aren't there.
Oh yeah, it's like a montage, and it's the fever. They've got the fever.
They've got the fever. How dare you bring up that episode of Twilight Zone?
Yeah, it's a really dumb. And I'm not saying that you can't do something like this to show them kind of like oh, they're reminiscing about like things they've lost because of the apocalypse, and they're remembering and they're getting like entranced by it. But the problem with the movie is that the characters never react to the world they're in, and it feels like they're taking everything very lightly. So like, this movie should have fairly depressing characters by and large. It should be characters who are broken by this world that was lost to them, because these are all people who remember the world. This isn't someone who grew up in the post-apocalypse. These are all people who 2 years ago were living in the regular world, and now it's like this. And it's almost like a sitcom episode when like Al Bundy goes to Vegas and he's just excited to play some slot machines. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So yeah.
But they find a lady.
Schlocky. Yeah. So a woman just runs out at some point, and she will be therefore known as woman or lady, or a derivative of thus.
She is very excited to see the three men and immediately hugs A-Team guy, Hannibal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, there's a line from Jan Michael Vincent where he goes, oh great, like the one woman left on Earth, and like she knows him. But it really, and I rolled my eyes like there's no way. There's no way that she knows him. And it turns out that they were just assuming or making a joke.
Yeah, they didn't know each other. And I actually was glad this was brought up, because in the next scene when she's talking to him, she's packing like multiple suitcases. She's putting dresses in her suitcases. And I'm glad the A-Team dude eventually went, hey, like, it's one vehicle. Like, you need some, like, jeans and shirts. That's it. Like, stop all this.
Leave all your glamour stuff behind.
Like, you don't need a dress and high heels, right? Those days are over. Like,
it's a lot of sand.
Yes.
Wear sand gear.
So, yeah, not going to work. But she does mention her story, like, what was going on, like, who she is. So she's, like, a singer in Vegas, and the manager of this particular club or casino, whatever it is, was going to introduce her to like some of the bigger singers, of the time.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. But then she basically says she got casting couched, where like they were in the fallout shelter, which, convenient, the fallout shelter, because nukes. Because that's where he took her to receive a favor for doing favors for her.
Which she did.
Yeah, she says, after I did my part, that's when the nukes fell. And so she actually spent like time here in the post-apocalypse with this guy. They were the only two that survived, but then he eventually like killed himself or something.
Yeah, he died. I don't remember.
Yeah.
How.
I don't remember how either.
Said.
Yeah, I've forgotten what the detail was, but yes. So she was left on her own, and now she's all excited that there's people.
Yeah, and she's got an accent from some.
She's French, I think, maybe.
European country. Yeah, something like that. I'm not quite sure what the accent is, but you could tell like she left everything to come to America to with the big dream, and she gets immediately casting couched. And then the apocalypse happened. It's kind of tragic.
Yeah, when you put it like that. I mean, I have to imagine a lot of people who get casting couched never actually get what they were promised, but it's another thing when the world ends on the way out the door.
I know, and she still did the favor. It could have been before everything happened.
I mean, what was the like the mood after? Like, once they're on their own, they're basically having to play married couple in the post-apocalypse. Like, what's the mood there? Like,
yeah.
it
You know he's not okay with it. He's not a one woman guy.
No. I don't imagine he was very pleasant in this
No.
time period.
Maybe she killed him.
I mean, you could headcanon that. Yeah, you could headcanon that she killed him.
I like to think that.
Maybe he tried to demand another favor, and
Maybe
she
a scorpion
snapped.
got him.
And she snapped and like beat him over the head with with something you get in Vegas. Like, I don't know.
I don't know, like a funny looking glass of beverage.
I don't know, a golden scepter, like, you know, one of the props from the entrance to the casino or something. I don't know.
I mean, I've been to Vegas. I just don't remember much.
Okay.
A silly straw. She murdered him with a silly straw.
It would take some
For
finesse.
margaritas.
It would take some finesse, but I'm not saying it couldn't be done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then we just cut ahead and we like, this is the thing, like, the dynamics of these people living together and like, okay, what are the rules here? What's the safety like? Because theoretically all the guys might want to try and make a move on her. And the only thing gets brought up is the A-team guy says, okay, I've come up with a schedule for the shower. And I'm like, you've got a shower on this thing?
Mm-hmm.
That was my thought. Like, where's the I want to see where the shower is.
They gotta wash off that radiation
Once a week.
once a week.
Once a week.
Just
That's
a
what it said.
straight iodine bath.
But other than that, it's not really brought up. I mean, obviously the fact that she's a woman is relevant later on because there's definitely some rapey characters like they encounter. But as far as the main dynamic of the group goes, there's like almost nothing. The only thing that happens is that the next place they go is they end up in Salt Lake City, which I've not consulted a map to check if this makes sense in the journey to
It's pretty north. I mean, yeah. It's northeast of where they are. So yeah, it goes Nevada and then up through Utah, where Salt Lake City is.
So yeah, it's more or less. Like, I mean, we know they're not going in a straight line because they have to dodge.
They have to go around
Yeah.
Damnation Alley. Yeah.
Yes, so they have to dodge certain areas, but yeah, but it roughly makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's okay. And this is the next segment of the film. So our segments thus far, let me just sort of describe once the journey started. Storm, which causes, you know, physical turmoil because it like overturns one of the vehicles. 2, Vegas fun like nonsense section where they interact and get a new person, right, a woman. Section 3, killer cockroaches.
Yes.
That's so, and it is probably the best part of the movie, for even though it's really stupid and like some of the effects of the cockroaches, because they have like batches of cockroaches moving together because it's clearly like on like a rug or something, they're all connected.
Well, they're fake at that point.
Yeah, but you can sort of see what they're doing and how they're doing it. But what I will say about
think
this,
it's still funny.
what I will say about this though is that it does tease them before it happens. Like they notice that the car that they're nearby, like this, like the flesh is like taken off the body, and like even the car seats are just the springs, like all the fabric is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like another car when like the other two go into the city and they see more cars like that. So it does suggest that there's something eating at everything. Like everything's being eaten.
Yeah. And Terminator Cop says like, like look at the way they died like that, or like what's happened. And then you see them, they're like they're the cockroaches from like Men in Black, the really big ones.
Yeah. And you start to see one or two here and then it sort of builds up. So I'll give it credit. Like, as stupid as some of this is, at least this one kind of like sets it up, has some suspense. And then honestly, when Terminator Cop does get killed, because he gets a few cockroaches on him, he tries to hide in the car, but then they come in the car. Every time it cuts back to a shot of him, and he's like got blood all like running down him, and he's like sort of yelling because he's being eaten by cockroaches. It is fairly effective. You know?
It's a gruesome death.
Yeah, it works.
You never go like that. I mean, I hate cockroaches. Ugh, I hate them.
A-team guy was like trying to save him with the fire extinguisher, but he's too late, and it's like he has to retreat. But by this time, Hotshot and Lady, and this is the time where it was like, okay, let's try to set up a love interest thing because she's on the back of the bike, and he's like, hey, we're going shopping, and this is when A-team guy's like, hey, can we trust him with her? So I think he's trying to set up here that they're bonding a bit because he's taking her out of the city to look at stuff.
And he didn't rape her. Good man.
I'd like to think the standards should be higher than that myself, but
in a post-apocalyptic world, yeah. if a man doesn't rape you, they're probably a decent person.
That's just. I mean, I've seen A Boy and His Dog, so I mean, I get where this is coming from.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not too long though. Whilst this is going on, where they start seeing cockroaches and they're trying to get out of danger, which leads to some fun stuff with him and the bike, like driving away from them. Eventually, the main big vehicle, because it's got like a rocket launcher on the top, which I've not mentioned yet. But like it fires a hole through a wall and drives through it, and like comes and rescues them, and then they get out of the city just in time. Most of this though is relatively fun. I will say.
Yeah, I think this is a really fun scene. I think this is the best scene in the movie, other than the obvious two keys turning at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably the best segment of the movie. I say it's not really one scene; it's multiple scenes, but it's the best segment of the movie. But much like everything else in this movie, then they're driving in the desert again, and there's a shack. Not Shaq the person, a shack.
Shaquille O'Neal.
That would have been interesting. I don't know what age Shaq was at the time. He was probably like 12 or something. I don't know. What age is Shaq?
Probably Jackie Earl Haley age.
Yeah, I mean, because he was playing basketball in the 90s, so. He was probably a kid. Maybe a little younger than Jackie Earl Haley, if I was to guess. I don't know. He'd probably still be taller than everyone in the movie, though, because even at like 12, he's probably...
Yeah, that's why they couldn't cast him.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, but they could have pretended, though, that he was like a human that had been like and big, like the Scorpions. Like he was big because he was a really big child because of the radiation. They could have played that. I mean, why not? But yeah, so they run into Jackie Earl Haley, whose parents died, and he like throws rocks at them. He tries to get away. The only thing
He's a sharpshooter with those rocks.
Oh yeah, he hits a A-Team guy in the chest in the exact same place twice. It's
I think it's Jan Michael Vincent he hits. Like it hits him with a rock twice.
Oh, you may be right. Maybe him. Yeah, he's sticking his head out of the vehicle.
He's like, God dang it! Good arm though.
And the only thing that makes him pause though is when he sees the lady. He's like, a lady. And
he misses his mommy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a little bit old to play it that way, though. Like he's old enough where it might be pervy.
It might be.
like he might be getting a tingle.
Might be an
right?
Oedipus thing.
Yeah. But they do catch him and they sit him down and feed him and like, hey, you should come with us. We're going to go to Albany. If you don't want to, we'll leave you some supplies. Blah 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 blah. You should come with us. And he agrees to if you'll teach him how to ride his bike because he wants to learn how to ride a motorbike. And he's like, sure.
Teach me how to throw a rock like that.
And that is
Such
your next
accuracy.
That's your next segment. There's a little bit of a montage where like they're bonding slightly, where
you get the routine of everybody on there in the car, whatever it is, the vehicle.
Taking turns doing different things, and like even the kids driving at one point, and they're teaching them how to do that or whatever. End of that segment, and we don't have many left. We've basically got so the next segment is another classic post-apocalypse thing, which is you encounter some humans that have went kind of deranged, and they're like cannibals and rapists, and they're like very dangerous. And the old guy, the leader of this little team, so they hold them at gunpoint, take their weapons, and most of them go with like the other characters out to the vehicle to like, and they're out there for a while, like doing nothing while this all plays out. But you've got the lady who he keeps behind, and because like he heard she was like a singer or whatever, it's like, hey, play the piano. So she starts playing the piano and whatnot, and it's all very like, yes, you're going to entertain me before I use you for what I deem you applicable for. Which upsets the others actually when the kid runs out and tells them like what he's in there doing. Oh no, sorry, that doesn't upset them. It's the opposite. They're like, so it comes out and they're pretending they're a family, and that like her and Hotshot are like husband and wife, and like the kid's theirs. And the kid runs out and says what's happening, and Hotshot says, hey, he better not be doing anything with my missus. And the two hicks say something to the effect of, oh, don't worry, he's just doing the same sort of stuff that we're going to do later. I'm like, that's not a comfort.
I thought like their leader of the hillbillies are saying, but I'm supposed to get her first or whatever, and he gets upset and moves out. Am I remembering that wrong?
I think it was the leader that was with her. I think it was the two henchmen, if you will, that went out with them. And I just didn't get why that was meant to be a comfort. Like, he's not doing anything that we're not going to do later. Like, why is that meant to make him feel better? Like, assuming it's not going to be. I mean,
if they feel like, if they think that that's his wife.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, like they end up just sort of like in fact they use one of the rockets. Like A-Team guy fires a rocket at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Or one of the guys. Oh no, yeah, because he fires at one of the guys and it shoots him into the wall. It's actually probably one of the funniest effects of the whole movie. It's a nice little moment, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, they killed him,
bad.
And they move on. End of segment.
Then things get a little wet.
Yeah. Oh, Jay, anything you want to add about that part?
I mean, not really. It is standard, like post-apocalypse. Hairy guys are just searching for rape and murder and cannibalism.
Yeah, but pretty typical. They end up at I think they mentioned in Detroit at this point, but they end up at a junkyard. They're looking for parts to help fix some of the vehicle, and I guess it's a tsunami.
A famous Detroit tsunami comes in. That's why I was thinking maybe that this is the part where like some other part of the planet is trying to like fix the access.
Yeah, I mean,
or is it just a radioactive tidal wave?
No,
in the middle of the country.
Things seem better afterwards. So I think the point of this is that this is the Earth kind of like tilting back.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of earthquakes going on.
Yeah. So I think the idea is that the reason why the water's hitting here is because it's like, okay, so it's shifting so much that it's causing all this chaos. If anything, the most ridiculous part of this, if you're willing to go with the fact that Earth is retilting itself on its axis, is that anyone survives this, because
well, luckily the car or the vehicle shrinks down into model size and just floats around in the bathtub for a while.
Yeah, this is a really obvious model. I mean, this is the thing. Even great movies like Godzilla, right? Water always gives away the scale of whatever the miniatures are. Or in the case of Godzilla, like the fact that it's a guy in a suit, right, with like a small city. Because when water you can't fake, you can just sort of tell how big it is, because waves just move, like small waves, big waves, they move a certain way. You can just kind of tell if it's a big body of water or a smaller body of water that you're pretending is big by going in close. Water gives it away. And fire too as well, actually. Fire gives it away as well. So yeah, it's really silly. It's kind of like adorable almost, like just how stupid it looks.
Yeah, it does look like it's just floating in a bathtub.
Yeah. So they survived that. Everything's too damaged at this point, but they've washed up.
Sky looks good though.
Sky looks better, so I think the world has fixed itself, and they've washed up on an island seemingly, and they seem to be close to Albany. And they're checking the radio, and sure enough, they hear music starts playing, and they call in at the frequency, and someone responds, and they're only like a few miles away. They're hey, we're here, civilization's here, and the movie ends with Hotshot grabbing the motorbike, and is it the kid?
And the kid?
Yeah, the kid jumps on his back, and
young Rorschach.
They ride all the way to where this is. They don't wait for them to come, and when he gets there, there's like a village. There's a lot of green. There's a lot of kids come running out onto the street, and as they're all happy and smiling because they've found civilization, the freeze frame happens and the credits start to roll.
With just a bunch of hugs.
Yes. So I mean, you presume that A-Team guy and lady are going to get picked up. They're going to go get them, but. But Hotshot had to ride ahead and see that it was real. So honestly, like, and I'm not saying that a movie like this can't have a happy ending, and you can't have, but it's just like so easy and perfect. Like this just looks like a village, like a modern day village that has everything
It looks
you'd want.
like it looks like a suburb.
Yeah. It's like how did Albany just like escape all of the effects of everything?
I don't know. Maybe they built a wall between them and New York City.
It's just it's just a really easy thing because they want it to have a happy ending. So it's just happy, and that's it. There's no caveats. There's no tragedy. No one's learned anything. Like even like why not? So the idea, the A-team guy, the older guy, he always thinks that Hotshot's like too abrasive. He's too quick to do things. Like, what if towards the end he had to trust him to like do a risky thing, and that's what leads them to this place, just to sort of have him realize that sometimes you need to have a little bit of that fire. Or what if alternatively Hotshot had to learn that he had to like rein it in and follow the guy's orders a bit, and that's how they end up. Give one of them like.
No, they're very much the same people from when the bomb drops till the end of the film.
Give them a teaching moment. Give one of them, if not both, a teaching moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's just an arc would be lovely. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, something for the woman to do would be nice.
Something for the woman to do. Goes for a lot of movies of this era, to be honest. But yes.
Yeah, would have been nice to see.
To sum up, none of the characters actually really have anything going on story wise, which is it is what it is. It does kind of come across as like just schlock that isn't really that thought out because they're not really doing anything to tell a story. It's just here's like a series of segments. Each one has its own sort of trope. And admittedly, in 1977, they weren't as like tried and like played out as they are now. Whereas we're saying, they get to like the cannibals and rapists. It's like, okay, we are so used to that in post-apocalypse stuff now. In 1977, it was probably still relatively fresh. Yeah. But
these guys are in real danger.
But the characters don't always react the way you feel like they should in the danger they're in.
I agree. Except with the roaches.
Yes. But even the roaches...
Which is why it's a really good scene.
Yes, but even the roaches, though, they don't talk about the fact that one of them died. They just never mention Terminator Cop again.
Nope, he's gone.
They just never mention it. There's never an inkling. At no point does Hotshot turn around and go, hey, where's my best friend?
Remember that guy I lived with for like 2 years?
Yes. That doesn't mention it at all. So, so if the characters don't care about anything that's happening, then why should we? And that is a problem. Now, admittedly, like I say, it's perfectly watchable schlock. I had a decent time watching it because of that. Some of the effects have got charm. But I'm still going to call it out on those things because these are exactly the sort of things I would call out in other bad movies that I don't enjoy at all. And that would be why they don't work. So I can't not call out in this as well.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yes. Even though I think Tara is like, why you try to critically analyze this? Just sit and make jokes. That's all I'm trying to do because it doesn't deserve any more than that.
I'm not doing a very good job tonight. It's all right.
Talk about the keys again. Go on. If you want to talk about the keys.
Well, yeah, that does add a point, at least 1 point to maybe 2, because there are 2 keys. And I just love it. Terminator 2's got a good scene like that. Obviously Crimson Tide. Anytime you're going to deal with nuclear weapons, GoldenEye has a scene like that. It just always builds tension and the important scene that this is. It just sets up that this is something very important because you have to have 2 people.
Did you? You keep saying that like it's. It's like you're trying really hard for that to be the punchline where you say there needs to be 2 people at the end, and I don't know if it's quite working.
Well, like if you want to get into something, you can't do it solo. It's a team effort, It takes 2 people. Launching nukes takes 2 to tango, as they say.
Yeah, so does tangoing. So there's
yes, exactly.
So there's many things. Many things take 2 people.
Yeah, but like You are it just, there's rules to this. You love rules.
Carrying a couch takes 2 people.
Unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. That man can carry a tree. He can carry a sofa.
Rate the movie.
Yeah, I think the movie is dumb, but kind of fun. There's some really good moments in it. I really love the roach scenes, and obviously the one I just talked about with the keys. So, but there's a lot of not so great stuff in the film. It is very 70s. It is. I don't think it's bonus movie. I think it's right on the borderline of bonus and what we expect from these 70s films, science fiction films of this caliber. So I'm going to give it a 6. I think it's a fun watch and should be checked out, but it's not great. So it's a 6er.
Okay. I'm just trying to decide if I disagree. I'm definitely not going higher. Like, that's definitely not on the table. I'm not going higher than a 6. But do I feel like I'm being harsh if I go low? Because it is an easy enough watch. It's definitely got some charm to some elements of it. The fact that there is no like momentum or anything that was building up over the course of the film in terms of story, and it just kind of suddenly like it's just time to end. It doesn't end because we've accomplished anything with the characters. It's just time to end. So I think because of that, I'm going to be a little harsher and go 5 out of 10. But,
I think that's fine.
But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say avoid it. Like if you like, if it sounds remotely appealing, I'd say you make it something out of it. But yeah, but not a must see by any means or stretch of the imagination. So okay, all right. Well, I'm going to make Tara pose for the thumbnail at this juncture.
Okay, I want to turn a key, and I think you should also turn a key when you do yours. So it's both of us turning a key at the same time.
How are we doing that? Am I going to have to hold a key up? Is that?
And we just, we can mime it.
Okay. We're
just follow my lead.
3, 2, 1.
Perfect.
I don't know. We only talked about the 2 people turning the 2 keys at the same time. Yeah, I mean, you think 2 times would be perfect to go with the theme of 2. Kind of like how Two-Face like models everything after 2.
Gonna get the papers. Get the papers.
But you did it like I don't know 7, 8, maybe 9 times.
Well, it's the most important thing in the film. Plus, you kept asking about it.
You can let us know. No such thing. You can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments. You can like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at Screams Midnight for updates. That is the Mail Fuzz Movies Twitter at Screams Midnight. And of course, you can support us over at Patreon, can they, Tara?
That's right, Peter. If you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MilesFuzzTV, and if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access. That's right, you will get access to bonus movies for the Ace. So you can check out all of our schlock, because that's where it goes. We got some real winners and some real losers there, like Trancers, the whole saga. You can decide which one's which. Which
has both winners and losers in
it. Right now, we're working our way through the Tremors sequels, so those are quite fun. Yeah, whatever. If you're a fan of Graboids, we're working through all of those. And what else we got there? Time Cop, for some reason, is there. I mean, just to get you guys to get that $1, I guess, because that doesn't belong there. That's not schlock.
That is schlock. It's Time Cop.
That is gold.
It's good schlock, but it is schlock. Let's not pretend it isn't schlock.
Philadelphia Experiment 2 is there. Speaking of sequels that go straight to the bonus, one of the best ones we've ever done.
But bunch of no-name actors in that one, though.
Except for Mr. Garrett Graham, most important actor of all time.
Never heard
I wonder
of
if
him.
he ever had a key turning scene. I don't think so. What a missed opportunity for Hollywood. Anyway.
Oh, is that a Patreon plug then?
Thank you.
See, that's how I know it's over, because you say thank you. So yes, go do all that, and of course, next time we have one 70s movie left. We are doing Silent Running. Before we go on to make our own top 25 70s sci-fi lists, which we'll be revealing in a special episode.
It's gonna be so tough.
But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction and computer. Add salsa.